Hey everyone, welcome to my audio review. Audio video review of Sonic the Hedgehog 287, Panic in the Sky Part 4, thus the finale to the Shattered World Crisis. The Shattered World Crisis, after its 2 to 3 year run, has finally come to an end. And I'll tell you, it's one of those story arcs that you thought would probably never end, but it has. Now, the way we begin issue 287 is basically the same way we ended it. It's the same way we ended 286. We have Sonic in his supersonic form and Chip piloting the Gaia Colossus going to fight Dark Gaia. Now, basically the fight begins, and Dark Gaia is putting up this shield guarded by what looks like these water snake creatures that are very similar in design, a smaller version, I guess you could say, of Perfect Chaos. So, excuse me. So anyway, Sonic and Chip are fighting. Chip is able to get through to the shield to get to Dark Gaia, and Sonic is knocking down the water snakes. And we get to a moment where Dark Gaia notices what Sonic's doing, and while he's still fighting Chip in the Gaia Colossus, and basically shoots, I guess you could call it his Omega Beam, his version of an Omega Beam, at Sonic, and Sonic gets caught in the blast, but not hurt. Basically, Sonic acknowledges that he felt that, and that he's hoping his friends are keeping a safe distance away from the battle, which they are. Because the moment he says that, we see the Freedom Fighters, Sally, Bunny, Antoine, and Tails piloting the tornado. We see them on the tornado, standing on the tornado. Like I said, Tails is piloting it, and like I said, even Tails says that they should be at a safe distance by now. And, Sally acknowledges that's kind of shrewd, that's kind of a moot point right now, that, they are at a safe distance. Of course, Antoine, he notices that the Death Egg is not moving. Bunny assumes it ran out of gas because Eggman was so desperate to get all that Dark Gaia energy. But the one thing that concerns Bunny more than that is she's noticing around is she doesn't see the Sky Patrol, which ironically, as soon as she says that, Sally looks down and sees Sky Patrol dome up in the water. So basically they go down to land on top of the dome, but what they see when they get there is Rotor, sitting in a lounge chair enjoying a soda. Yeah. The last thing they expect to see is Rotor sitting down in a lounge chair enjoying a soda. And it kind of surprises Sally. She's like, Rotor, what are you doing? And Rotor basically explains to her what's going on, that the Sky Patrol got knocked out of the sky by the Death Egg. He informs her that Nicole is safe and in the server as can be, is as safe as can be in the server, but the Sky Patrol is down for the count. So, yeah, basically, Rotor then after telling him that, Rotor says, "Hey, so why don't we take this opportunity just to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show of Sonic and Chip saving the world?" Now, of course, Tails figures they could still help with the tornado. Rotor informs him that that's a no-go, and this is like a battle of the gods, and the tornado would just be like not even an insignificant blimp, on Dark Gaia's radar. It's like you get just within a few inches, poof, you're done. And, while he's telling this to Tails, Bunny notices Sally's got a certain look that she recognizes, and Bunny has to explain to her, hey, don't, basically Bunny tells her, hey, don't blame yourself. We did everything we could. You did everything you could. And Sally, of course, acknowledges that and just wish they could do more. But basically she, but like I said, Sally acknowledges that, but she still wishes they could do more. Antron, though, kind of perks her up a little bit by acknowledging that they did accomplish something, that they did get a bit of a victory, a minor victory so far. And that is, Eggman's lost his super badniks, and a whole base, the Eggman land, to boot, so it's got to count for something. Sally does acknowledge that, and then just tells them, basically Sally admits that they're right and acknowledges it, and then says that basically now they're in the final stretch, the home stretch, and that they got the two of the best up there, and Chip and Sonic, and all they have to do, and all they need to do now is give those two their faith and support. So we go back to the battle between Sonic and Chip against Dark Gaia, which some of these battles have had like little montages here and there. So basically, like I said, they're fighting Dark Gaia, they're giving him all the best shots, and Dark Gaia finally does get a little bit momentum when he grabs Chip, because he grabs Chip literally after Chip kind of knees him in the face. He or she grabs Chip, or it grabs Chip by the shoulders, the Gaia Colossus by the shoulders, and is getting ready to shoot him straight on with his, like I said, his version of the Omega Beam from his eyes. And Chip is trying to tell Sonic that not only does Dark Gaia got him, but he's not sure if the Gaia Colossus, maybe not even him, can survive a straight-on shot from Dark Gaia's eye beam, or his Omega Beam. And Sonic noticing that, and then noticing the angle in which the beam would continuously travel, even if Chip finds a way to have the Dark Gaia, have the Gaia Colossus duck, or even if it shot Chip and he somehow survived, how that straight shot from Dark Gaia's Omega Beam would still continue going straight towards the Sky Patrol and his friends. So basically, Sonic noticing the situation that, okay, Chip could probably, that even if Chip can, like I said, have the Gaia Colossus somehow duck, Dark Gaia's beam would hit his friends and Sky Patrol right at the angle that it's at. Even if it was to hit Chip and Chip somehow survived it, and the Gaia Colossus somehow survived it, it would still, like I said, continue traveling towards his friends. So noticing this, he's like, nope, not going to happen. And, he's got this expression on his face like, nope, not going to happen. Because, he's been there before in a sense. And he basically flies around just long enough to distract Dark Gaia, to avert the beam from happening, to distract Dark Gaia, that as soon as it tries to shoot its beam, or when it does finally shoot its beam, it gives Chip enough time to put up a green shield that diverts the beam into two different directions. In other words, instead of going straight forward, Chip, having enough time, thanks to Sonic's distraction, is able to, like I said, put up a shield that kind of averts the beam from going straight forward and diverts it into two different directions side by side, basically going right past Sky Patrol instead of hitting it straight on. So basically, with that distraction and giving Chip enough time to, put the shield up, they averted disaster, if you know what I mean. They were able to save Sonic and his friend, Sally and the others. Now, while this is happening, Dr. Eggman notices that everting of the beam into two different directions. While he's noticing this, basically Dr. Eggman acknowledges that another attempt to gain power, or to some means, in this case the Dark Gaia and all that, has failed. He acknowledges it comes at an even bigger personal cost, that being Eggman Land, which he actually did like. And that now, basically, he's at a point that not only can he no longer, use the Dark Gaia energy to fuel the Death Egg, but basically he acknowledges that and he even asked himself the question of how can he strike fear into his enemies with the death egg if the death egg runs out of gas? Yes, or is it running out of gas? So he starts pondering, like, okay, how can I do this? And I guess as a bit of a nod towards the next adaptation, which could be Lost World, he realizes that the planet's energy, has the same kind of potential, if not maybe more so than Dark Gaia's. So he starts pondering, okay, the energy levels of the planet have, the potential to be just as powerful as Dark Gaia's did. And he's basically, Eggman starts plotting like, okay, I could probably use that to power the Death Egg, but how can I do it in a way that Sonic doesn't, ruin my plans or anything? That, basically he thinks to himself, okay, how can I, probably siphon the Earth, the planet's energy, which is, like I said, he figures is similar to Dark Gaia's. How can he siphon the energy to power the Death Egg, without Sonic, meddling in his affairs or even detecting where he's at. But as he keeps pondering, he realizes, you know what? That's pondering and planning for another day. He takes off for the Death Egg, saying he's got to get out of here and out of the range of Dark Gaia, or the Freedom Fighters before they start to rally and make a comeback. We do get a little bit of a kind of a hint, a tease at a possible Lost World adaptation. Now the fight is continuing on, and long story short, they are finally able to hit a blow that weakens Chip and Sonic are able to hit a blow that weakens Dark Gaia enough that Sonic is able to shoot right through him, right through it, and thus causing Dark Gaia to fall backwards into some lava, which it sinks underneath of, as it falls into it, it sinks underneath of it. Now not Chip, but Sonic, after doing that, flies towards Chip. Chip holds out one of the Gaia Colossus's hands for him to land on, and Sonic acknowledges, the fact that they beat that they have beaten another ancient god thingy, and they basically busted it, they beat it, they did what they had, they basically won, is what Sonic acknowledges towards Chip. It tells Chip that he's all out of super. Basically, that last shot that Sonic did right through Dark Gaia kind of basically took the remaining power that he had as Supersonic out of him. And Chip tells him, "Hey, you've done you've done your part. You've done what you could. You've done more than what you could. Now it's my turn to fulfill my destiny and restore the planet." And that's what he starts doing. He starts putting the planet back together. We get a little bit of it looks like a one-page montage. Because I don't have the comic physically in my hands, I read the comic through sonicscans.org, if you will. So I was able to read it through there. But yes, Chip starts to put the planet back together, and we get this like one-page montage of everybody that they've encountered, from the Gaia Key Guardians and their families, to Razor and his friends, Razor the shark that is, to Lupe, to Dulcie and her team, to the Desert Freedom Fighters Desert Freedom Fighters that we met, that are friends with Nephesis or whatever. To, I think, Lupe, like I said, basically everybody they've encountered, befriended. The professors. We see Uncle Chuck in there with Mutsky. We see the Chaotix. And we even see the last things we see on the page at the bottom is Dr. Eggman sitting down and Cubot patting him on the head, him and Orbot apparently trying to console him, and kind of, I guess in Cubot's way, being like, "Oh well, better luck next time, boss." Eggman's got because just the way Eggman's got this look on his face, like, phooey. It's like, phooey. I should have saw this coming. But Anyway, you got to see it for yourself. But yeah, we do get that, and then after the planet's all restored and everything, Sonic acknowledges that now that that's done and they've won, that now they can start partying and celebrating. And Chip says, "Hey, I would love nothing more, my friend. I would love to do nothing more than to party and celebrate. However," and this is where a bittersweet moment comes in. He says it's time for him to join his darker half in the Earth, in the planet's core. Now, of course, this upsets Sonic. Like, hey, hey, wait a minute. We just won. You just restored the planet. You deserve a victory lap. You deserve a chance to sit back and relax. And Chip basically tells him, Sonic, if I spend, basically Chip tells him, hey, if we delay any more time, Dark Gaia is gonna probably, we're gonna probably risk Dark Gaia coming back into the world, and we can't do that. And now Sonic tries to kind of still convince him, hey, don't you deserve something in return for what you did, and like a reward or something like that. And Chip says, I don't need any reward. The only reward that basically he says, basically what Chip does is, because Sonic's still trying to convince him, hey, you still have time. You could still party and celebrate, or at least kind of get some kind of reward for what you've done. And Chip tells him, hey, the only reward I want, or the only reward I have is the friendship you and your friends gave me, or I deserve, or I need, is the friendship you and your friends gave me. And then after he tells Sonic that, he starts to telepathically thank everybody he's encountered, from Tails and Rotor for the wisdom that they gave to him, they taught him, to Bunny and Antoine's love for each other, which taught him what he was here to protect and fight for, to Sally's friendship, or to Sally's bond with Nicole, which opened his eyes and made him realize why she was so easily accepting of him. He goes on to thank Cream, Cheese, and Big, saying that he wishes he could be closer to them when he says goodbye. To Amy and Knuckles, and thanking them for their inspiration and passion. And then you have Knuckles' friend, I can't think of her name right now, looking, and and as he's thanking Amy and Knuckles last, you have Knuckles' Angel Island confidant looking towards him. I can't think of her name, and she's like, you guys heard that, didn't you? So, yeah, basically Chip encases Sonic in a bubble and helps him land and sends him back towards the Sky Patrol, which Sonic lands on his feet, which Sonic is released from the bubble right next to his friends. And, Sonic's yelling towards him, saying that he's the best, that Chip, and Sonic's yelling towards Chip, that telling him he's the best and he's going to miss him. Chip acknowledges the same thing, but says he will always be a part of Sonic. He will always be a part of them, or always be with them, a part of the planet you thread, or planet of the Earth you thread, or part of the Earth you thread, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, basically that's what he says. He tells Sonic before he seals himself up that he will always be with them as part of the Earth he threads. Now, of course, Sonic is not too happy about this. Sally, reaches out to him and goes like, Sonic, and she tries to start. She tries to start talking to Sonic, and Sonic's like telling him, Sal, it isn't fair. It isn't fair for Chip. I couldn't save. I couldn't. I wasn't. It was like he basically says, he couldn't, he didn't, but then Sally kind of starts talking and telling him, but you did. You did save Chip. And in turn, and in turn, you guys saved all of us. And Tails backs us up by saying the same thing. After Sally said it, saying, hey, because Sally basically tells Sonic finally, hey, you did save Chip. Tails backs us up by saying, yeah, you saved us all. Well, basically, Sally tells Sonic that, yeah, you did save Chip, Yep, you saved us all. And Tails backs this up by saying, yeah, you did save him. He was able to live his life and fulfill his destiny. And of course, after these words from both of them, Sonic kind of like bittersweetly acknowledge, Sonic does acknowledge that they're right, saying, yeah, you're right. You're right. I did. He did. And then as he's holding one of his hands, I think it's his left hand, he opens it up, sees a glow out of it, and then sees the necklace Chip wore now in the palm of his hand, and he puts it on his wrist, and he thanks Chip for it. And then he tells his team, or tells his friends to bring it in, and that even though Chip may be sleeping now, they're still up and going, and up in time for the best sunrise this world has ever seen. And we see basically the sun, of course, rising up over the ocean after the planet's been restored. And then the last page we have is the Chip hugging the planet. It kind of like, I guess you could say, a ghostly spiritual avatar of Chip hugging the planet. So overall, that is Sonic 287 Panic in the Sky Part 4. I have to say it's a pretty good finale. It hit all the strides that it needed to. It accomplished what it had to. The only difference I think a lot of people will point out, and I'm sure Mega Beatman will point this out in his review, is the fact that the fight with Dark Gaia didn't happen at the Earth's crust. It happened, above the Earth. It happened in the ocean where Eggman Land used to be. But I guess you got to switch it up somehow to make it a little different from the comics. But overall, it hit, like I said, it hit all its strides. It did what it had to do, and it turned out pretty good. Now, a lot of people pointed out that Tracy Yardling was doing the inks for it, not the coloring. And I have to say, Tracy did a great job here, because you can almost feel like, to me, for some reason, you can almost feel the wind blowing, blowing in that atmosphere. Like you can feel the wind on Sally's hair a little bit, blowing her hair a little bit, stuff like that. So I really enjoyed Tracy Yardling's work there, so I'll give him that. But overall, yeah, overall, a pretty good finale to Panic in the Sky, and an overall pretty decent and good finale to Shadow World Crisis. And that's all I really have to say. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't have the comic physically, and even if I did, I'd have to find a way to pack it away, if you will, because I'm in the process of moving. So what I would probably have to do is sneak it into one of my totes or something like that, or at least take one tote down or something like that to put it in the totes with my Sonic comics. But anyway, we'll see what happens. But like I said, pretty good ending, pretty good finale, and I highly recommend it. So that's all I'm going to say on my Sonic 287 review, Sonic the Hedgehog 287 review. Let me know what you guys think down